Hello, guys, and welcome to another episode of the AMCL weekly recap, where we discuss the actions and the happenings, everything that's happened in the previous week. Once again, this episode, just like the previous one, is brought to you by TipNG, your social gifting platform that allows you to earn gift prizes for your content, or even just, you know, someone is feeling good and they feel like giving you some cash gift. TipNG is the route to go, where all you need to do is open an account, rather, log on their website, create an account, and you have a link where you can give friends, family, well wishers, and you do not need to put in your account number, your phone number, any other sensitive information. So let's jump right into it. I have two wonderful people joining me today speaking about what had happened over the week. Once again, Shayo, thanks for coming back. And we also have Joshua joining us today. How is everything going, guys?
Hi, Ife. Great to be here. Great to be back. Exciting week, especially in the Premier Division. After I saw the table, I said, yes, indeed, the league has started just after 2 weeks, and it's quite interesting, and we're enjoying it.
All right. So, Josh, you have been in the battlefield. You see everything from the front end to the back end. How has week two been?
Well, week two was definitely full of surprises. I mean, we saw some expected results. We also saw some that we didn't expect. But to top it off, we had, I mean, viewers, most especially, and myself, we had a lot of fun spectating some matches, especially
Mm.
in the championship division. Like matches where you would expect it to be an easy 2-0 win, but both teams would fight to the end to make sure that they either have a chance of winning 2-1 or at least they get 1 point from it. And overall, I'll say, like Shire said, league is just starting. League is just starting, and then there promises to be more of what we saw in week two in the coming weeks.
Yes,
Mm,
indeed.
thanks for that, Josh. I agree with Josh. I think the championship division surprisingly was more intriguing
You know,
with
I
with
like I
the
like the fact that the teams in the Championship division, um, I don't want to use a condescending word, but it's more like a case of we're all equal and we're all seeking this promotion to the Premier Division. So nobody can come in and boss anything. That's the kind of rivalry in the championship division, and that's what makes it interesting. Unlike the Premier Division, where we've seen guys who have won titles, guys who have come close, who have been semi-finalists at different competitions coming into the league, it means they can gauge the strength. But the truth is, the Champions Division has everybody believing that they are at equal strength. So the first to the finish line, they believe would be the ones to. They're talking about the top three will be the ones to qualify for the next into the Premier Division, and that's what makes it interesting because you don't just believe anybody can beat you, and you go with that kind of mindset into a gunfight. You definitely would sure get an exciting time.
yes. I totally agree with that, and I believe this week's table for the championship division actually does confirm everything Shire has said.
Truly,
It's a different ball game. There's no black horse, or there's
nah.
no group of black horses.
Yes.
I'm really interested to see how this would pan out at the end of the season with everything going, back and forth. But another thing happened this week, just like last week. A team in the championship division fell off, and that is the all girls team, Osomina. Let me take it to the man in charge of, the stables, Josh. What happened?
Regarding Osomina, it came as a surprise, sort of, and at the same time, I was rooting for them to stay on. So when I made inquiries, what I was told was inconsistencies amongst the players. So I'm guessing the bad run of results might have contributed to that, and they were unable to rally together, and see if they could get their league season underway. So if I had to make a suggestion, I would say most likely it was because of the bad run of results. It was simply too much for them to bear, considering their performance in WCS. So they just decided to pull out to save themselves from further embarrassment. or maybe let me put it this way, further heartbreak.
Shayo, what was your take on it when the news got to you?
As the news got into me officially, as a fan, and
Okay, let's put
if I'm coming from, I'm wearing two hats now.
we're
So
putting it to you as part of someone looking at the community, you just hearing about it.
yeah, so that came as a shock because I remember I mentioned Osomina up to like half of the time I talked about the championship last week, and that's because, like Josh said, they've given us a taste of what they can do. Reports say they didn't have Blue, who was the best girl gamer from WCS, and the person who came in close second, A Bonnie. There were claims that both of them were not available for them. But the truth is, let's look at this thing. The worst that would happen to you in the championship, and that's the way I reason these things. The worst thing that will happen to you in the championship is that you remain in the championship. If you were in the Premier Division, you would have been like, oh, I'm dropping. And even if you're dropping down, what if you're dropping down for good? I was thinking about it in the course of the week, and I was like, what if you don't pick anything in the Premiership and you drop to the Championship and you win the Championship and you get $250? It's better than the person who comes fourth in the Premiership, who's probably going to get nothing except, some bit of residual fees are paid by we the organizers. But the truth is, looking at the prize pool, you don't get anything if you come in fourth position at in any of the divisions. So I was thinking about it that even if you drop down to play in the lower league, it still means you'll be in a place where your strength will be known. You probably can rally back and get back into the league. We've seen that happen in football, seen it happen in so many other sports. It's you going down doesn't mean the end of the world. I remember Juventus in Italy. I remember Rangers, or was it
Rangers? No, it was Rangers.
Had to go all the way to the fourth realm of Scottish football. So I didn't think that should be a reason for them to up and leave. And I'm now switching from an observer of the community or as a viewer now to say that nothing official has been communicated yet. And I'm saying that in my capacity as the founder and CEO of the Lagos Esports Forum. The Osomina team has not come out to officially state. The only thing I saw was a WhatsApp message, which we all know is not a means of communication officially if you're even going to step away from the league. And it's even too early. Apart from the fact that the rule book already states it and they know the implication of this step that they've taken. So it's on record that if indeed, because I told the moderators, I said, make preparations for Osomina to show up for their games because they've not officially told us that. But of course, after missing 3 games, it means they're out of it. Because even if they come back now, we'll ask questions. Where have you been for the past 3 games without officially communicating that? So that's the way things are at the moment.
Okay, all right. Thank you very much for that, Shayo. To all our viewers and our listeners, once again, you can go ahead. I can see already banter going in the comment section. You can go ahead and, give us your thoughts. Let us know what you think about Osomina unofficially pulling out, because according to the league and administration, they have not submitted anything official about pulling out. If you are just joining us once again, this is the African Mobile Community League Weekly Recap, and it is brought to you by TipNG, the social gifting platform where you can get cash gifts from friends, families, and well-wishers. You do not need to give them your account number or your phone number or email, nothing that it's personal. All you need to do is go to their website, tip.i.ng, create an account, and then it would give you a link that you can share with friends, family, and well-wishers for your content. So once again, now let's really jump into what has happened during the week on the battlefield. And once again, we are going to also start with week 2, match day 4 with the championship division. And I will go ahead and show the match scores. So you do have Regiments leading K9 2-1, Knights beating Void Gaming 2-0, My Revenge beating Menace 2-1, Osomina forfeiting not showing up, and that was an automatic win for Area 57. Aphelion Eclipse losing to Elite Gamers 1-2, and Comet Gaming 2-0 against Wakanda. Josh, what was your surprise match of that fixture?
My surprise match there was definitely what's it called? K9 versus Regiments. To be honest, because looking at K9 from match 1 in the championship division, they've looked like a very solid team who would have competition from only CMC as well as elite gamers. So it was a surprise to me when they lost 2-1 to Regiments. I mean, Regiments in their own right are an equally good team, but if I had to pick one out of the two, I would most definitely go with K9, especially since Regiments are missing some of their key players. So yes, Regiments versus K9, that was a very surprising result. And then Comet Gaming versus Wakandans as well. I was expecting a 2-1 match in either team's favor, but Comet proving that they're one of the big dogs in the championship division.
Okay. Shai, what about you? What was your surprise?
I share his sentiment on the second game he mentioned, Comet Wakandas. Truth is, I even thought Wakandas were going to pick the maximum points in that one, and at the very least, maybe pick a map, but then it didn't happen for them. Comet definitely laying down a marker with that performance against Wakandas, who are also one of the top teams. Don't forget, from last weekend, they were part of the 3 teams that had won all their games. So it was really a marker they laid down for every other team in the league. Talking about Comet Gaming.
Okay. I would agree with both of you on the Comet Gaming versus Wakanda. Also, I was expecting a 2-1. I didn't know which way to swing, but I was expecting a 2-1. So 2-0 wasn't was came to me as a shock. I think another one that keeps surprising me, I don't know why, is I have high hopes for Aphelion, and I don't know why they just find it difficult to pull themselves out. From last week to this week, I expect them to, pull in at least a surprise
Aside,
win.
aside, aside that, it also came. This result came as a bad way to start week 2 because having won 2 games in week 1, one would have thought that they were going to build on it starting week 2, but that didn't happen. Having lost this first game on Tuesday, and it wasn't really a good start. But then picking a map was good if we're going to look at it on the flip side. Like I've been saying, any team that loses but picks a map has done itself a favor, and that's what Aphelion have done with this particular game.
A huge favor, and I totally agree with you on that. A few comments coming in, and let me just pick a few of them. Dre the Wolf said, am I able to pull that up? Just 1 second. Okay, he said tough. Okay, it's moving fast. He said tough times for Osamina, and that is Dre the Wolf. And immediately someone responded and said, tough times never last.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm. And let's see, another one says Comet Gaming on top. Yes, I think they are making a huge statement so far in the league, and I think I would keep an eye on them. Let's move on to match day 5, which was last week, Thursday, I believe. Yes. And as both of you said, K9 kind of bounced back from that, winning Knights 2-1. My Revenge winning Regiments 2-1. Once again, Osamina not showing up and giving that 3 points to Void Gaming. Menace, who also lost match day 4, picked up the win against Aphelion 2-1. Area 57 winning Comet Gaming, which was a surprise also, 2-1. And Elite beating Wakandans 2-1. Josh, what was your surprise of that day?
Yeah, let me see. All right, looking at the results once again, like I said, guys, Regiments versus My Revenge. Regiments versus My Revenge. I mean, I could have bet the house or Regiments winning that matchup 2-0. Then Area 57 versus Comet Gaming. I was expecting a 2-0 win for either side. I mean, 57 were very dominant, same as Comet Gaming. Comet Gaming, who, by the way, helped set two of the AMCL records for the smallest hard point scores for
Mm-hmm.
opponents.
For
They
opponents,
Yeah.
gave their
yeah.
opponents, I believe, 256 as well as 250-39. So I was expecting it to be a dominating performance from them. But Area 57, they pieced it to my tickets. Or let me see. Menace versus Affilion Eclipse. I was expecting an easy 2-0 win, to be honest. Affilion did really well to get a map. So that was good for them. That was good for them, to be honest. And then K9 versus Knights. Knights, they've had some T1 experience, you understand? So I figured that experience will come into play for them and they will be able to get the better of K9. But unfortunately, that didn't happen. And if I remember correctly, I casted the match that day, and let's just say I saw things. Let's just put it that way. I saw things.
And Shaya, what about you? What was the surprise of match day 5?
Definitely Comet. Not and that's not to really not respect Area 57. Don't forget they were league leaders coming
Last
into
two.
week two
Exactly.
of the season. So that pride of place definitely is something they took into this particular game, and it was good to see. Interestingly, all the fixtures saw the losing teams pick a map. So that's one interesting fact from. I'm not sure we've had that happen so far this season. So that's an interesting start from the championship division. Wakanda's still stuttering with that game against the elite gamers. And definitely K9, I think I expected them to win against the Knights, and that's exactly what they did.
Okay, so let's jump to the final match day, which was match day 6, and that was Face Off Friday, where both divisions play. K9 jumping from the first loss of the week, putting in, back-to-back win, winning my revenge 2-0. We already know what happened between Osamina and Knights because Osamina didn't show up. Regiment also jumping back and picking up a win, winning Aphelion Eclipse 2-0. Once again, Aphelion still finding it hard to take that win. Comet Gaming coming
That's
back from
three
it
losses in the week already.
in the week, yes, and that is 9 points. Comet
Hi.
Gaming jumping back into the victory mode, winning Void Gaming 2-0. Wakandans jumping back also winning Menace 2-1, and Elite Gamers surprisingly beating Area 57 2-0. Josh, what happened on the final day? Some of the results here are really, really surprising.
No, actually, the results here, to me, none of them came as a surprise. I mean, let's look at the matchups. My Revenge K9 versus K9, that went as expected. Regiments Affilion, as expected. Comets versus Void, as expected. Void, no disrespect whatsoever, but Void have been one of the disappointments of the championship division so far. Like, I expected them to be at, what's it called? Either the top half of the table at least, but so far they've been having disappointing performances. So I expected the 2-0 win. I mean, it's Comets they were going up against. Wakandans versus Menace. I expected that as well. And then, okay, yes, there may have been a surprise. Elite Gamers versus Area 57. I was expecting a hard fought win, probably 2-1 for either side. I definitely didn't expect a clean sweep at all.
Mm,
There was something I said last week, if when we were analyzing the table for the championship division. I said elite gamers are sitting behind those top three who all have 9 points, and there
mhm.
are 7 points, and that they need to watch their backs. And that's exactly what happened this week. By the time we look at the table, you'll see that my prediction came to be because I remember mentioning the fact that elite gamers are breathing down the neck of those top three and they would actually shake things up going into week two. And that's exactly what they've done. With this kind of results against Area 57, especially one who we thought were league leaders coming into week two. They have a dominant performance. We expect they will build on it. And they made them end the week in such a disaster. Didn't even pick a map. That's a marker from elite gamers and an elite performance from them in this encounter.
Okay, wonderful. So, to all our viewers and our listeners, in your comments, let us know what team surprised you in week 2. Let's know your thoughts. What you think? What team surprised you? what teams were disappointing and were also surprising to you. So that was the end of that week, and let's take a look at what the table looks like. So now we have Comet Gaming leading the pack with 16 points. So they won 5, lost 1. Elite Gamers also. Now, if Shadow said they were breathing down the necks, I think now they are starting to sit on the neck of the top. With with 16 points, same, five wins, 1 loss. Area 57 also dropping with
And
15
you can see
points.
the difference between them, Area 57, and the top two is because they failed to pick that map in that last game. If they had picked the map in that last game against the Elite Gamers, they would have been on 16 points with the top two. That has seen them come in third position. So for the teams, for the players, like we mentioned, picking that map is very important. And
Exactly.
They just count at the end of the day.
Okay, and you have Wakandans. They've also dropped. They have 13 points, winning 4 games, losing 2. K9 also sitting 13 points, 4 wins, 2 losses. Regiment equal, 3 losses, 3 wins with 11 points. My Revenge held their position from last week, from the week 1, sitting in 7th. 3 wins, 3 losses with 10 points. Menace having 9 points, winning 2 and losing 4. Knights 8 points, Affiliate 8 points. They both have 2 wins, 4 losses, and Void Gaming with 4 points, 1 win and 5 losses. Josh, surprise team, and what you think we should, what you think we should expect next week, week 3.
Okay, looking at this, I mean, it's looking really tight at the top of the table, so I can't really say I have a surprise to me. Understand? Everything is perfectly balanced as it should be. Comets, Elite Gamers, Area 57, Wakandans, and K9, the top half of the table. Then maybe regiments. Maybe let's say I would have expected regiments to be where Wakandans were. You understand? Because regiments have a reputation that precedes them. They've won, I believe, the in the past. So everybody expected them to be one of the top dogs in the championship division, as well as in the top half. So seeing them at 6th might be the only surprise there for me. But everything else from 1st to 3rd, everything looks to be as expected. Then the bottom half of the table, I definitely didn't expect to see Void there at all. I definitely didn't expect them there as well, same as Knights. For Aphelion, I'm not surprised to say the least. I'm not surprised they are where they are. I mean, let me see. Oh yeah, map difference is the only reason, as well as match one, the only reason why they are not bottom. So I'm not really surprised that Aphelion is where they are, because if you compare them to all the other teams in the division, the other teams have better lineups as well as pedigree and experience. But yeah, overall, that's basically it.
And Shai, what about you?
Well, I think Josh needs to cut the regiment a bit of a slack, because this time last week they were not in the top 6, and they're in there now replacing, because all the guys, the top 5 were in the top 6 last week. The only team not in the top 6 was Regiment. Affiliate who were there have dropped as far as 10th position. So regiments, I think, are building slowly. They're using both style of racing. So maybe the other guys, maybe what you're saying, maybe Josh's prediction would come to pass, because it's a marathon, unlike a cup, which they've played before. Now you play 3-4 knockouts games and you've won the title. This is a marathon where consistency is important, and so many other factors need to play in your favor. It could be network that makes you play 4-5. It could be anything whatsoever. So you're just praying that every match day turns out good. And maybe regiments would have that happening for them. Like I mentioned earlier, elite gamers, I see something in them, and that's exactly what they've been able to do with the position they're seated at the moment. Wakandas, no surprise really with the guys in that top 5. I have a special place, like I said earlier, for Menace Gaming, because we have a social media vibe together. I expect that they would actually do better. But it's good to see that they climbed up the table, albeit very little movement. But then um, movement is good, no matter how small. But I expect to be a better performance going into week 3.
Week 3, okay, thank you. And we have a comment here from Mohammed. He says week 3, Comet will be on top. And Mohammed is countering him, saying Comet still have to play elite gamers, meaning it's not all rosy on the top of the table. Josh, let me ask you this. Do you think teams are actually looking at this table and calculating opponent by opponent and saying, okay, fine, this is the next opponent. To improve on the table, we need to make sure we get one map, or we need to win this at all costs? Do you think teams are doing that, or they're just like, it's Tuesday, we're playing, and that's it?
Actually, I believe teams look forward to the fixtures so they can know the level of preparation they need to put in. I mean, when you know the team you're facing, at least you have some hope. You you can be like, okay, we're facing so and so team. We just need to do the bare minimum. We'll be fine. Or we're facing so and so team. We need to scream for 4 to 5 hours daily and all that. So yes, I believe teams look forward to the fixtures so that they can now start preparing themselves mentally and as well as, well, I would say physically, but I mean in game screaming and all that. Yes. So teams do look forward to it.
Mm. And Shai, what do you think? Do you think teams are being calculative in this case, or?
I remember mentioning that last week, and I expect that I don't play Call of Duty Mobile. I play FIFA, more the football games. But I believe that you for a league tournament, and I do sports analysis. For a league tournament, a league competition, you need to pick your battles. There are games you know that you may not be able to win. Yes, maybe at the end of the day, you may get to win them, but there are games you know you can win. But as much as possible, make sure you pick a map. And I think that's something that will count at the end of the day. So yes, I know the teams might be looking at this game, that game. I'm sure they have the schedule already. It's not like it's coming to them as a surprise. I'm sure they're looking at the previous performance of some of their opponents. So it is very important that they pick their battles. There are games you know that you may not be able to win, but try your very best to pick a map. And there are games you know you should win. Put in everything. If I were a Void Gaming player at the moment, I'm definitely looking at, if we've not played Aphelion, if we've not played Knight, if we've not played Menace, if we've not played My Revenge, I'm looking at those games as games where, like we always analyze, where we should pick at least 9 points. At the very least, 9 points. And we should go into those kind of games with that mindset. And I believe that's the way they should do this analysis and get into the other games.
Okay, all right. Thank you for that. So let's keep it moving, as we do have the team of the week. We do have Pelu from Menace Gaming. We have Karl Rouge. I hope I'm not murdering your name. From K9, we have Kayax once again returning to the team of the week from Regiment, Deadshots from Elite Gamers, and Yazoo from Comet Gaming. Josh, what is your take on the team of the week? Who surprised you?
I would say Pelu. Pelu surprised me being in the team of the week, but I mean, he just had to be there. His team lost 2 matches this week, but his performance, you understand, his performance level didn't drop at any point in time. He was consistent, both when his team was losing and when they were winning. If you go back and check the stats, you see that he had the most winning MVPs as well as losing MVPs. So on the back of that, I would say that's why he's here. And I mean, it's a surprise. How many times do you see people whose teams lose more than a match in a week getting into the team of the week? It's a bit unorthodox, but yeah, that's basically it. And then let me
Okay,
see for Karl. Yeah,
go ahead. Go ahead.
For Karl Rouge, it was a bit difficult not to get more than one member of K9 into the team of the week. I mean, deciding the team of the week for this week, that's week 2, was really, really difficult. We had a lot of players that fragged out, that played the games of their lives, possibly. So it was a very difficult decision. I mean, there's someone else from K9 who should have been in the team of the week, But unfortunately, or rather, should I say fortunately for Pelu, he performed really well and he managed to edge him out.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Let me read a few comments.
Kayaks was in the Premier Division, he would definitely be giving the big boys a run for their money. I must mention that. Very good player, and definitely deserves a place in the team of the week.
Team of the he keeps his spot once again
Yeah.
for being a team of the week. Dre the Wolf said next week will be bloody for Void. Well, we'll take it a fixture at a time and we will
Fingers crossed.
see. Fingers exactly. And we do have more comments. Rayhan said Comet Gaming to win the league. Okay, it's too early. I believe it's too early to call since the top five are really holding dear to it. I
Yeah.
believe a game separates a win. Just one win separates each one first to fifth. At this,
They will be chopping and changing like we've seen already. I think that's what would
ex-
happen with them. So they need to. It's those games against themselves that they really need to take serious more than ever.
exactly. And then we also have Dogma saying kayaks is Premier Division quality,
I guess he just
no
re-echoed
doubt.
what I said. He just
Ex-
re-echoed what I said.
exactly. That I totally agree. I've been able to see a few snippets of his shots. He plays like he's a contracted assassin that snipes.
Mercenary.
Must say exactly that takes you down from nowhere.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
Okay,
Good stuff.
and okay, I believe I'm moving too fast at this point. And the player of the week for the championship division is Karl Rouge. I believe Josh will be able to speak better on this player. He plays for the K9 clan.
Yeah, Karl Rouge from K9 Clan. As you can see, his stats basically do the speaking for themselves. S&D 35 to almost a 3 KD overall. Domination 2.17 KD. And I mean, let's just say if Kayaks is a contracted killer, let's just say this week, Karl Rouge was a born killer. Like dropping bodies, dropping bodies all over the maps wasn't a problem for him. It wasn't a problem at all. I mean, you know how difficult it is to get an average 2.9, almost 3 KD in S&D, and he almost did that. And then overall, he almost got a 2 KD. So he was heads and shoulders above the rest of the players on the team of the week. And then
Hmm.
Kayaks came in a close second. But yes, Karl Rouge definitely deserves to be the player of the week.
Okay, thank you for that analysis, Josh. Ruthless said Wakandans getting promoted. They just need to tidy up some things in their game play. Shayo, I think we're seeing a battle for player of the season now. Like you said, just like how the team is, no one is going to say because you're a big team, it is
Yeah.
your right to win or to be the best. We're seeing
Hmm.
championship, everyone is actually fighting for something.
Yeah, and that's the beauty of this league. That's one of the reasons why we created it. And it's good to see that it's happening. You know, when you even envision something and it doesn't get to happen, you begin to wonder if there was anything missing. But it's good to see that we envisioned it and it's happening right before our eyes, even from week 2. It's not even like we're chilling till like week 4 to see the balls and all that. It's happening right from week 2. Definitely promises to be an interesting 4 weeks more in the AMCL for the games that would happen.
Okay, and that is all we have for the championship division for week 2. Viewers, if you're just joining us, thank you for joining the AMCL weekly recap, which is brought to you as always as our honorable sponsor, Tip NG, a social gifting platform that allows you to earn cash gifts from friends, families, and well wishers. If you create content, gaming,
Anything, yeah.
anything. It can be you singing, it can be you dancing, it can be you showing your artwork, it can be you showing your design. put that link and share with friends, families, and well wishers, and it allows people to be able to tip you. Once again, we'll be moving to the Premier Division. Guys, in the comment section, let us know what you think about this week 2. So now we'll be looking at match day 4 of we know Coral Vortex has been disqualified, so that was an automatic win for Incognito. Now Zero Remorse winning Bloody Veterans 2-0, Cyclone Fury winning Snow Wolves 2-0, Cryptic beating Syndicate Mercs 2-1, and Regime Unruly beating Draco Solemn 2-0. Josh, I believe we both saw that match against Draco Solemn, and I think it was was it hard point? It was 250-249. It was a close call, and that was Draco coming back from, I think, 100 to 2
From
to
the dead.
from the dead to dragging that game. And I think they losing that game kind of just dampened their morale totally. And the second game they were not in it. I think it was 6-1 for Search and Destroy. Josh, what was your take on that game?
Man, and see, nobody could have written a better script, to be honest. Like, I definitely didn't expect that ending. I was surprised at the beginning when I saw 102. I was surprised, but then the ending trumps it. I mean, who would have expected that from 102, the match would be 249 at a point? I was at the edge of my seat because for a split second, I couldn't tell who was going to take it, either Draco Solemn or Regime. There's no way anybody would have predicted a 249 ending. And like Ife rightly said, I believe the results of that match and then the way it ended, I believe it messed with their heads for the Search and Destroy, because Draco Solemn, they are known to be very, very good in Search and Destroy, especially their sniper Holy, who is, I'll say he's feared, basically. He's feared in the community. And then they have Toffa, who I believe Throne once called the best locker in Sub-Saharan Africa. So yeah, like you very rightly said, the results and the way the hard points ended definitely messed with their heads. And also affected them in the Search and Destroy. But like Doc might saying in the chat, yeah, the game was really, really hot. And the hard point was contested for a couple of seconds before Regime finally got the upper hand, courtesy of Moaz and I think Billy's gravity spikes. Yeah, that was how Regime came out on top in that match.
Okay, and
Then
Shayo looking. Okay,
yeah, for the
Shayo
other results.
Okay, go ahead, Josh.
Yeah, for the other results, according to reports, we should have seen a 2-1 result at least in the matchup between Zero Remorse and Bloody Veterans. I mean, the hard points was a bit close, not as close as Draco Solemn versus Regime Moruli, but it was close. I think 250, 239, or 236. I can't really remember the S&D scoreline, but I feel like if Bloody Veterans had won that, then the match would have gone either way. I feel so. Other than that, another surprise, yes. Snow Wolves versus Cyclone Fury. I definitely didn't expect a 2-0 win for Cyclone Fury. I expected a 2-1 win for Snow Wolves at least.
For Snow Wolves.
Cyclone Fury basically using scissors to cut my ticket there. So yeah, Regime really, Cyclone Fury as well as Zero Remorse. Yeah, those matches, the results were surprising.
Okay, Shayo, looking at it, well, quickly before we move to match A5.
Surprisingly, BV and Snow Wolves, I told you, at least I knew them before the league started. They're still struggling, and that's a bit of a worry for me as one who thought that they would be shaking things up when the league starts, and they're not picking maps. I must mention, if they were picking maps, you would understand that maybe all things will work together eventually, but they're not picking maps. But then another team, which I think we should all focus on, is Cryptic Gaming.
Mm-hmm.
Because it seems every week they're able to knock up 2 wins, which is not a bad thing when it all sums up after 6 weeks. If they're able to knock up 2 wins at the very least every week, which is what they did last week, they've done that again this week, which which keeps them in the top 5, the top half of the table.
6
Based
out
on
of
the
9
numbers,
every week.
6 out of
Yeah.
9 every week. It means there's something good going on for them in there. They probably need to pick maps in those games that they get to lose. That would have
And that would be
kept them
7. Yeah.
exactly. That would have added a little jara on what they already have from the win. So eyes should be on them. Cryptic Gaming really might just capitalize on when the big boys cancel themselves out to move into maybe the top 3.
Okay, and let's move to match day 5. I know this was there was a fixture there that was really surprising, and that was Incognito losing to Zero Remorse 0-2. I know it was a sub-Saharan derby of two powerhouses. I wasn't
Yeah.
expecting to see 2-0, but we'll come to that after reading the list. As always, Snow Wolves picked up an easy 3 point because of Karl Vortex, being disbanded, or rather, disqualified. Cryptic again, like you said, picking another win, winning Bloody Veterans 2-1.
Yeah.
This time, Bloody Veterans not doing the needful, but were able to secure a map. Regime Unruly beating Cyclone 2-0, and Draco winning Singate Mercs 2-1. Shaya, I know we spoke about Zero Remorse Incognito, and the first thing you said to me was, "What did I tell you?"
Yeah.
What was your take?
In retrospect, let me assume that Incognito over-rested from their walkover against Corrupt Vortex because they didn't get to play on match day 4. So probably we're still in that groovy mood coming into match day 5. That's the only way we can explain this. At some point, with they were all sorts, and it was a strange thing for a top team of their caliber. They were just out of sorts. Things were not going right, and for Zero, it was a good time to capitalize. When your opponent is down and you can just keep eating him, and that's exactly what Zero did. Not even a map to pick. That was the surprise for me because two powerhouses, you expected that they will give us the leisure of 3 maps to enjoy a longer match, tense encounter. But the truth is, there was nothing tense about that encounter. Even at some point during the S&D, when it was looking like, and I think it was it Marquet that was the citizen. Marquet was, I think he was the shoutcaster. Was even saying, oh, maybe they're about to rise up to the occasion, talking about Incognito. It didn't just happen for them. Zero definitely capitalized on that, and it must be said that they are the only team in both divisions that are yet to lose any game. Kudos to Zero Remorse, especially with that game on match day 5.
Josh, what happened to Incognito? Josh, are you with
What
us?
happened to Josh?
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
here. On that day, contrary to what Shayo felt that Incognito rested courtesy of their free day on Monday, I don't think that was the case. Anybody that has been following the team for quite some time would notice the lineup that was put out that day. Incognito have had
You
some bad
definitely
luck
know that
with their
was
lineup.
Josh. You definitely know that was meant to be a banter.
Yeah, no, I'm well aware. But on
I
that
know
day,
how
that
hardworking
aside,
the team is, but I'm just saying.
yeah, no, that aside, not to make
Yeah,
any excuses whatsoever. Zero Remorse were simply the better team. They wanted the win, and they went all out for it. And I mean, that showed in the results. The hard
and it's
points,
an
if I'm
away
not
win.
mistaken, was I believe two exactly, which makes it all the more better for Zero Remorse, and
Yeah,
then a bit struggling for Incognito. If I remember correctly, the what's it called? The scores for hard points was 250 10. My bad, 250 100 in favor of
100.
Zero Remorse, and then
Mm-hmm.
the S&D was 6-2 as well in favor of Zero Remorse. That was definitely not the type of matchup we've come to expect whenever these sides face each other. But regardless, to just keep it short and simple, the better team won that day. And then
No doubt.
for the other fixtures, let me see. Draco Solem, yeah, I was surprised that they dropped a map to Syndicate Mets. I was really surprised there. and then Cryptic Gaming. Someone said it in the chat that Cryptic Gaming has been the revelation of the tournament. And to be honest, that person is right. Who would have thought? I mean, looking back from WCS, who would have thought that Cryptic Gaming would beat Bloody Veterans in the manner they did, winning 2-1? Nobody expected that. Nobody saw that coming. So that was another surprising result. Like the person said, Cryptic Demons and Gamings rather have been the revelation of the tournament. Regime really versus Cyclone. That was like sure 2 odds there. So yeah, I believe that's basically it. And thrown in the chat saying Michael dropped 24 in response. Yeah, that was mind blowing. You have people using SMGs and ARs, and then they don't even come close to that. They have someone else using a sniper running around the map, and he drops a 24 bomb. So yeah, that was definitely insane. GG's to him.
My
Oh, your
apologies.
audio is not.
Yes. Shayo, quickly before we jump to the final match day for that week, what was your take on Cryptic and Bloody Veterans?
Um, I think with the momentum of Cryptic, like I said, I think they understand the dynamics of the league. So they're doing that bit, which is let's make sure we get at least 2 games every week. And it's a good strategy if you ask me. And they've done that 2 weeks back to back. We'll wait to see if they would have a consistency going into week 3. For BV, maybe they should have won because everyone is agreeing with me that Cryptic is surprising us with a performance, which means BV should have won that game, but they could only pick up a map. Good in the long run, but a win was expected. But Cryptic have come to understand the AMCL. Maybe they have the AMCL manual that they need to share with some of the other teams. And that's exactly what they've been using in so far as we've seen. And it was a good one for them against BV.
Yes, I can see banter already in the comment section, and someone said Michael is a bot, and another person was saying, okay, did I miss that? Okay, it's still here, and the person said, but honestly, Michael, what do you eat? So if Michael is in the comment section working, please and kindly give us a response to the secret sauce behind, your skills. And now let's move on to the final day, which also was interesting. Let me pull that up for everyone. Okay, and you have Incognito bouncing back immediately, beating Snows 2-0. Now Cryptic Gaming falling to Zero Remorse and allowing Zero Remorse to have a perfect week. Regime unruly picking up that 3 points because of Coral Vortex, as we all know. And for this time, surprisingly, Bloody Veterans forfeiting the game against Draco Solam. Cyclone Fury, funny enough, also, I think they are following in the footsteps of Cryptic, deciding to pick certain games, deciding to pick certain maps, and they beat Syndicate Mets 2-1. Shayo, what was your surprise matchup for the week, for the day?
Oh well, Cyclone may be following the steps, but we can't see it on the table yet. So maybe they need to follow the steps. But hey, I think everyone sees syndicates as being there for the taking. But we must also, because even for the games they get to lose, they've managed to pick maps, and that's a good stuff. Sincerely, that's a good stuff. As it is, I was looking forward to Draco and BV. I'm not sure if I've seen them play together before, but that was one game I was waiting to see happen. No surprises really with ICG. Everyone knew that after that loss to Zero, they needed to bounce back, and they did that with every venom in them. Not even just trust me, if you're going to play them next after that loss to Zero Remorse, you
whoever faced them, yeah,
you're done for. And that's what happened to Snow Wolves, who have been having a yo-yo performance. Cryptic also, like I said, they probably have seen Friday and said, oh, it's Zero on Friday. then we need to pick the first 2 games of the week, and that they did. And they could be less bothered really with that game against Zero Remorse, because the truth is they can give the best they could have given was to probably knock off a map. Beating Zero Remorse would have been a tall order. And that's what we saw with that kind of performance. We saw them losing by 2-0.
Okay, so I know there's a question in the comment section, and I'll throw that to Josh. They're asking why Bloody Veterans forfeited against Draco Solar.
I reached out to the manager for Bloody Veterans, and then I asked him why his players forfeited. And then the reason he gave was unavailability of most of his players due to load shedding. South Africans apparently they experience that a lot. Load shedding is when their lights get cut off and all that. So I think it affects the power as well as the network. So because of that, he couldn't field enough players, and majority of Bloody Veterans roster are from South Africa. So the load shedding caught them at the wrongest possible time, and then it affected them badly. So that was why they had to forfeit.
Okay, good. There's a comment section here which I could not help but read.
I was going to mention that.
Yes, I think Shayo, you should take the honors for this one and just give the shout out.
Yes, shout out to the graphics designer. Thanks, Ruthless. We've done that at the office, at the LASF office, and I think I was still talking about that today with Ife. Also, beautiful output. Sweet to behold. It's almost like you're looking at some top football league in Europe, and it's good to see that it's happening in Sub-Saharan Africa. Great graphics design, and trust me, guys, look out for more beautiful stuff. You've seen our flyers, our posters, and many more things that will be churning out from the LASF.
All right, now so let's keep it moving, and I think we'll be moving to the team of the table rather, not the team of the week. Yes. So now we have Zero Remorse holding on to top spot. 18 points, 6 wins, no losses. Regime Unruly, surprisingly, 15 points, 5 wins, 1 loss. Incognito, same, 15 points, 5 wins, 1 loss. Same with Draco Solem, 5 wins, 1 loss. And like Shara said, Cryptic Gaming, 4 wins, making sure they pick 2 wins each week and 1 loss with 12 points. Cyclone Fury staying in 6th, not moving or falling from that position. 3 wins and 3 losses. Bloody Veterans, to my surprise, if you're following them from WCS or I believe MGT, you'll be very, very surprised. Yes, you'll be very, very surprised at what is going on. 1 win, 5 losses with 4 points. Snow Wolves too, I was expecting, to see them maybe 5th or 6th, judging also from MGT and the WCS. And they also have 4 points, 1 win, 5 losses. And a little thing Shai has been saying is picking up those maps. Look at Syndicate. 4 points. They do have points. Mm-hmm. No win, 6 losses, but they've been successful in picking maps, which can be a foundation to actually move further.
With 1 win, if BV and Snow Wolves lose, and that's just an assumption, if they lose going into match day 7 and Syndicate's next win, it gives them 3 points, such that even if the other guys now pick maps, they will only be on 5 points. They will be ahead of them on the table. So those maps are important. And I noticed for Syndicate next, like I said, they're picking those maps, which may just, be good for them at the end of the day, save them probably from relegation. Let's not forget, it's 2 teams that will go down because 1 is off already, and it's a plus for them going into match day 7. Maybe they can start knocking up the wins. Though it's really sad that they've not won any game so far this season. Your audio.
Oh, I do apologize. I'm trying to read more. I'm trying to read more comments here. And someone said, Syndicate Miss Wood enter T1, which is the Premiership division. So it's more of a banter. He's saying they should not have been in the Premiership division. So over to
It's
Josh.
a learning curve now. It's a learning curve.
It's exactly. Josh, any surprise on the table for you as to positions? Is Josh there with
Audio.
us?
It's
Oh, his
audio.
audio.
Oh, sorry, my bad. I was talking, but my mic was off. Yeah, the table is a tough one because I definitely wasn't expecting to see bloody veterans at the bottom half of the table. You understand? But at the same time, if you look at the top half of the table, you realize that there's just not enough space for everybody there.
Sure,
Bloody veterans and
yeah.
snow wolves should be in the top half. You understand? But Cryptic Gaming have muscled their way there into the top five, and then Cyclone Fury just positioning themselves, not moving forward, not going back. So yeah, the two surprises for me are the positions of Blood Veterans as well as Snow Wolves on the table. Then for Syndicate Mercs, whew, I honestly don't know what to be honest. Like it's surprising that they haven't won at least one match. It's surprising, but looking at the caliber of the other teams, their current standing can be understood and excused.
Okay. Okay, wonderful. So let's move to the team of the week. Well, we have Berlin from Zero Remorse. We have Billy from Regime Unruly. Attacks. Forgive me if I'm not pronouncing that well. And he's from Incognito. I Hustle from Cyclone Fury. And same Michael that we've been talking about from Cryptic Gaming. And we'll move on to who the player of the week is. For some reason, there's a player that is missing. What happened? And that is Xerox Beast.
Xerox didn't
Shayo.
particularly have a good week. Let's be sincere. I looked at his stats, especially in that game against Zero. Let's not forget they played just 2 games. They didn't play 3 games. So if you had a bad game in that one, the game against Zero Remorse, I was looking at the stats and it wasn't the like I said, it wasn't the Incognito we knew, and it wasn't the Xerox or even Uncle Bonus and the other guy. It was just that kind of match day for them, and I think that affected them making it into the team of the week as we have it.
Okay, so now let's move to who the player of the week is, and Josh, you'll be giving us the breakdown of his stats, and that is Berlin from Zero Remorse. Josh, kindly give us a breakdown of his stats.
Yeah, Berlin from Zero Remorse. I mean, I went over his stats throughout the week, all the matches Zero Remorse, and he had the most winning MVPs. And as you know, Zero Remorse didn't drop any map this week. So I mean, looking
No.
at his S&D is not too bad, 1.6. The hard points, 1.46. Overall, 1.49. I mean, if you put Berlin's stats beside Michael's stats from the championship division, you might be deceived into thinking, okay, it's not that impressive. But in the Premiership division, Berlin's stats are really impressive. And then the fact that there is no overall stats for domination should tell you how good he is and as well as how good Zero Remorse is. The fact that this week they didn't allow any of their games to get to domination. They just got down to the business, quick 2-0 wins all around. So yeah, Berlin was the standout player this week for the division. And then for the team of the week, because I saw in the chat some people asking about certain players there. I also got into the team of the week, courtesy of his performance in match day 5. Yes, I think it was either match day 4 or match day 5. I also, let's just say he did the Lord's work on Meltdown, S&D, as well as in, I think, either hard points or domination. And then he equally did the same thing against Snows. I also was consistent this week. We had to give him that. And then Michael, I don't need to say too much about Michael. I mean, we already know his story. 4 kills in a must-win match with a sniper in response. Then for attacks came back. He hasn't played any match at all in the league. And then in his first game back in S&D, he goes 18-4. That's about 4 point something KD in search and destroy. Then Billy and Berlin are starting performances from both of them as well for their respective teams. So that I believe that basically explains why all of them are in the team of the week.
I totally agree with
And
you, Josh. I also consistent this week. I saw that also. And for Michael, I think if you even want to argue about Michael's position in the team of the week, you need to look at Cryptic's position and their performance. When you look at that, then you will know who exactly their angel Michael was all through the week.
I like that, Shayo, Michael, and how Josh also says doing the Lord's work. And
Yes,
the famous Michael has jumped into the
I
chat to
finally
say,
showed up.
I am in the team of the week. Congratulations to you,
Yay!
Michael, for that. And I'm seeing a few banters, which I think Shayo can take note of. Team of the
Will they
season, Premier
actually?
versus championship at the end of the season. I think we should.
that's actually not a bad idea. I
Yes,
was
That's
I
literally
that's
think
about to say
something
the same
that's
thing.
something we've been talking about. I think we already mentioned it behind the scenes. We haven't just brought it forth. In fact, this week when I saw the performances and all that, I was thinking like the NBA maybe we would even make it a mid-season thing, which will be next weekend. Maybe Sunday after this recap, we can just do it. But then let's see what happens between in the next 48 hours, max 72 hours. We may come out with a decision that says we're having an all-star weekend, which would be
best of
Premiership,
five.
Premier versus yes, it's best of
The
five, definitely. Premier versus
That
Championship.
that
That would
definitely
be
sounds
interesting
like fun.
to
That
mark
sounds like
mid-season.
fun.
Would be one good thing to mark mid-season with before we go into match day. That will be about match day 10 for week 4. Let's see how it goes. Next 48, 72 hours, we'll reach a decision on it.
Okay, and I have a question for you, Josh. You can go ahead and address this. Mohammed says, how many, or rather, he corrected himself, how many teams get relegated?
All right. To answer that, seeing as we have two divisions, the bottom three teams in the Premier Division they get demoted to the Championship Division, as well as the bottom three teams in the Championship Division who equally get phased out of the league as well. So basically, for each division, it's three teams. And then when you demote three teams from Premier Division, we now have the top three teams in Championship Division, which, going by current standards, I believe should be Area 57, Comet Gaming, and Elite Gamers. We have those three teams moving onto the Premier Division to go and play with the big boys. Then we'll have three fresh entrants from the other Galaxy Network or Galaxy News ranked teams to fill in the three empty spaces in the Championship Division. So yeah, just basically three teams per division.
Mm.
Okay, so now as it stands, since two teams, one from each division, have pulled out, I guess just two left from each will be facing relegation. Shayo,
Yeah, that's
quick,
correct.
yes. So Shayo, quickly, from what you've seen from the championship division, do you think the top teams are ready for the Premier Division?
I think so. I think so. Like we said, the only thing is we don't know who's going. Let's be sincere with ourselves. It's early days. But if we look at the guys, Comet, Elite, Area 57, the people who are there at the moment, sitting in that top 3 slot, they look like the people who can hold their own, especially with the inconsistency of the likes of Snowwolves and BV. If they remain in the Premier Division, then they will fancy their chances against them if and when they are in the Premier Division. So yes, I think they would hold their own. The big boys will always be the big boys, but then shock is always on the cards, and that can happen to anybody on any given day based on so many factors.
Okay, wonderful. So Josh, we're going into week 3. What should we expect? Or what are you expecting? Should be the question now.
Um, in one word, violence. I'm expecting violence this week, basically. I'm expecting violence because we have Cryptic's fixtures this week. Cryptic Gaming's fixtures this week are in no particular order. I believe Incognito, um, either Regiments or Draco Solem. Incognito Regiments, Draco Solem. I'm certain of at least two of those fixtures. While for Incognito, they have a back-to-back against Regime and then Draco Solem. So all those matches is violence is assured. Let's just put it that way. Then for the championship division, I mean, now that teams have seen the standings, everyone will be fighting to, put some breathing space between them and the teams that they are currently tied with. So we'll see a lot more violence. The question is, will we finally have someone break past the 60 points mark in the AMCL? I mean, the closest person was Payne from Regiments, if I'm not mistaken. I believe he dropped 56 this in week 2. So the question is, will we see someone get 60 in the AMCL this week? Will a new record be set? So yeah, it's violence all around.
And Chaya, over to you. What are you expecting to see this?
Yeah, I think I would like to see Regime Unruly and Cryptic, because both of them were seated in 4th and 5th last week. Regime left Cryptic behind, dropped them to 5th. They were in 5th and moved to 2nd. So it means if Cryptic are going to have a shout or a push, then they need to take down Regime Unruly. So that promises to be an exciting encounter, because of course we all have our eyes on Zero, ICG, and Draco Solem as possible top 3. But as we've seen, it may not be like that at the end of the season. So which of these two can upset the apple cart? They need to show that this week when they square up against each other. And I'm really, really looking forward to that game.
Okay, and we have Dre the Wolf saying the championship division will be interesting, saying T2 goes sweet. And another person said Draco to top end of the week. Argue with your keyboard. So he's saying they will top at the end. By the time we do a recap next week, they should be at the top. We also have Melv saying we still have Cryptic, Draco, and Regime to play. Damn. So it circles back to what Shayo has said, that you really do not know. You expect 3 points for some teams, and like Josh would say, some people can do the Lord's work and interrupt that 3 points.
And you know what worked for Regime Unruly was the fact that, like I said, the big boys will cancel themselves out. Zero took out ICG. And they didn't pick him up. So Regime, it was a good thing for them. They moved up, and they had not dropped too many maps in their previous games. ICG had dropped too many maps in their previous win. So those dynamics are really, really counting for something. And I think I must commend the league management in charge, the MCL league management, for coming up with that idea of 1 point for a map. It's a brilliant idea, and I'm loving it.
Another person said ICG never play. Okay, ICG Incognito has not yet played Regime and Draco. Josh,
it's not like the days of the cup when you played 3 knockouts or 4 knockouts.
Yeah, you won, exactly.
This is a marathon, and you need to bring your A game every match day.
And if one more comment is Dre saying Snow Wolves are still going to face Bloody Veterans, Regime, and Syndicate. So he's probably speculating possible 3 points for Snow Wolves, I believe. If I'm wrong, kindly correct me. So Josh, what? Yes, I think Josh, what's your take on this comment by Dre for Snow
Wolves? If he was in the past, maybe Snow Wolves of WCS, I would say Dre is just being a funny individual. You understand? But going by their performances, I'll say it's wise to show some concern in those fixtures, because I mean we have yet to get any win, and we have Bloody Veterans just directly above Snow Wolves. So those two teams in particular, they would have more motivation, you understand, to go for the win. The Syndicates will want to pass SW, and then Bloody Veterans as well will want to move up in the table and put some space between them and the bottom half of the table. And then you have Regime as well, who you don't need to be told. They know that all they have to do to keep up with the top end of the table is to win their match. So basically, this week's fixtures for Snow Wolves, man, a lot is on the line for all the teams they are going up against. A lot is on the line for all the teams they are going up against. So Snow Wolves would need to bring their A game in order for it not to end in tears for them this week.
Okay, and that's all we've had. As we round up, we know we always have a weekly competition, and we're going to announce that of last week and introduce to you what. Yes, I will go ahead and introduce what the competition for this week is going to be. So, Shayo, over to you.
Yes, and like you all know, I like it when you don't win, so that I can repeat that same process. Because it means the process is tough, and it's tough to give out a tip, So, first of all, let me announce the winner from last week. We got 2 entries, and I'm saying to the guys, that means your fans are not watching. Get your fans to watch, get them to do these things, and they will get a tip. The winner from last week is I am Uzumaki. That's his Twitter handle. I don't know if he's watching now. If he is watching, he should send a DM to at Lagos Esports with his tip. Send his tip link to at Lagos Esports. I think his name is Terence Abani or something. Terence is his name. You should send it his tip link so that we can send his tip to him. And like I said, we're sticking to the same format. Get your fans, get a friend, get somebody to register on the tip platform, take a screenshot, post it on Twitter, copying at tipng, at Lagos Esports, at Africa Mobile CL. That's the AMCL. Africa Mobile CL, and use 2 hashtags, AMCL and tip on AMCL. I believe the instruction is straightforward. Copy 3 and put 2 hashtags. It's as simple as that. We'll pick our winners, 2 winners yet again this week, and we'll tip them accordingly.
Okay, so I'm seeing a few confusion. I'm feeling a few confusion which Josh has clarified, but let me just reinstate it. This competition is for fans. Get people to watch you. If you say you're a pro player, you're an esports athlete, tell friends and families to watch you. This is for them, not for the players. Get your friends and family, your fans, your supporters, those supporting your team, supporting you as a player, to go ahead and come in for this competition, and they would get a cash gift via tip from the Lagos Esports Forum. Once again, guys, this is all the time that we do have. Thank you for joining us. Once again, you can always get all the information about the league by following African Mobile CL and the Lagos Esports Forum on Twitter. Everything about the league is there. The scores, the fixtures. If you want to banter, everything there is open to you.
Remember to use the hashtag AMCL, tip on AMCL. We'll be able to track, share, retweet, like all your posts on social media.
Okay, and guys, again, thank you so much for joining us. To all our viewers, also thank you, and we will see you next week.
Bye, guys.